Conceive, believe, achieve.
This is former UFC middleweight champion of the world, Michael Bisping.
Paddy the Baddy here. You're listening to Combat Sports UK.
And you're watching Combat Sports UK.
Back on Combat Sports UK, today we are joined with our next guest, UFC lightweight Christos Giagos, ahead of his return to the Octagon, April 22nd. Christos, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing good. Surviving the grueling training, but doing well.
We're getting closer and closer to your return to the Octagon. It's been a little time, and you're back in there with Ricky Glenn this time around. How are you feeling as we get closer to fight night?
I'm feeling good. You know what I mean? I feel like I'm definitely improving on a lot of the holes in my game, but I just feel like I haven't got to show the world how much better I've gotten since moving to the new gym, and just got caught up with a little mistake the last two fights, trying to make my way towards the top 15, but it's okay. A little setback ain't nothing I've dealt with before, so I always get right back into it.
And just to start us off, you've been in the UFC for quite some time now. You've literally taken on some of the very best. I'm just curious, how do you reflect on your time in the UFC since the start?
I reflect well, you know what I mean? It just, a lot of ups, a lot of downs, but no matter what happens, every time I lose, I always get better. I always learn off of them. I never let the losses, I never try to dwell on them too much. I always get better. This is only my second time in 13 years that I've lost 2 in a row. And I've never lost 3 in a row, and I don't plan on doing it now. You know what I mean? So I always take my losses and try to do my best to learn from them. And I feel like that's going to happen again this time around.
And, it's been a little while since you were last in there. Obviously, a lot of stuff's happened. You've had to call off fights because of injury, all that sort of stuff. How has the time off been? Has it been frustrating for you?
Not really. You know what I mean? I've actually accepted it and try to use it to just, improve my game, to get a lot better and just, stay in the gym as much as I can. I obviously, if I could choose, I wouldn't choose to take the time off, but I never try to sweat the things I can't control. You know what I mean? So if it's out of my control, I try to take that situation and try to make the best out of it. And I feel like that's the only way to improve in life. You know what I mean? I could sit and cry about it all day, but that's not going to do nothing. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just try to improve my game and use the time wisely.
You're a live in the moment kind of guy.
Exactly. Take what comes at you and make the best out of that situation.
And as we've mentioned, obviously this time around you're facing the gladiator, Ricky Glenn. He's been out of out for a little while as well. What do you make of him? Have you had a chance to really get down and have a look at him?
A little bit. I've actually known Ricky Glenn. I don't know him personally, but I've definitely seen a couple of his fights. I know when I was training to fight this kid Alexander Pimentel, I watched a lot of his when I was studying versus him. I actually watched him versus Ricky Glenn, who was the only guy that beat him when I fought him. I fought him. His record was 15-1. The only guy that beat him was Ricky Glenn. And then he actually lost 2 rounds. He does that quite often. He loses 2 rounds and comes back in the end. You know what I mean? He has good cardio, but and then I fought him and beat him. So we were the only 2 guys that ever beat him. You know what I mean? So I think this is a great matchup. We're both veterans in the sport. We both have a ton of fights. I think this is both of our 30th fight, or maybe he has 30 already, but it's about both our 30th professional fight. And I feel like we're both veterans. We're both game. We're both going to get in there. We're both well-rounded. You know what I mean? So I think this is a fan favorite fight. I think this is a potential fight of the night kind of fight. So, and I like this kind of fight. I like fights that I can go in there and not have to worry about like a super high level black belt. No, I can go in there. I'm not afraid to take him down. I'm sure he's probably not afraid to take me down. I feel like we're going to get a full action MMA fight come the 22nd.
And you've been working with your gym now for a while as well. How have the guys in the gym, you described them as a dream team of coaches. How have they got you ready for this one? Anything different?
Not much different, just more just adapting. And, when I first got there, it was a little bit of a struggle because it's all high level guys. So you don't really get, to take any round, no easy goes, you know what I mean? So in the beginning, it took me a while to get comfortable. I was getting my ass beat a little bit from the beginning, but I've definitely seen myself grown. Guys that I've known that put it on me. I'm now putting it on them at times. We go back and forth, and I've definitely used it as a gauge, as a metric system to see how well I've been getting better, and I've definitely got a lot better. I've been getting a lot of good compliments. I've had a lot of good days in the gym, doing really well versus high level guys, and it just brings a whole new level of confidence going in there. You know what I mean?
And in your last two fights, obviously the result didn't go your way, obviously. But where do you think was the area that you needed to improve to make sure that that doesn't happen again this time?
It was if you look at my past fights, I like to go. I don't waste no time. I'm not patient. I like to just go full metal, full throttle on the metal. You know what I mean? And I was planning on doing that fight, and then I landed a big shot in the beginning. He grabbed a single leg, and when he put me against the cage, I was too patient. You know what I mean? And that's not me. And I was trying to fight a smart, calculated fight. You know what I mean? Going with a high level guy like Thiago Moises, and when we were on the cage, there was no sense of urgency to get off the cage. You know what I mean? It was more, I felt like I was in a good position. I had double underhooks. He had a single leg. I felt like he was holding on pretty tight. And I just felt like since I was in a safe position, I was going to let him kind of wait until he can let go so I can break out of it. But that's my mistake. I should never wait for them to make a move. I got to be first. And that's how I usually am. And I think that's the biggest mistake in that fight that, happened. Also, I worked on, my back escapes and everything like that on the ground. And I don't know why I stood up on my feet. You know what I mean? And it was a whole different ball game, being like I had no leverage to kind of get him off. I'm dry. It's the first round. I can't really slip them off, things like that. So there was just a lot of factors that went into it. And when you fight guys at this level, this high up, it's like any little mistake can cost you the fight. So going into this next fight, I'm not gonna wait on anything. I'm gonna be first. I'm not gonna let him, or at least my goal is to not let him get anything off. I'm not gonna wait. I'm just gonna go the whole time. You know what I mean? Do what I do best.
So would you say it's a mixture of playing it smart, but also sticking to what you know, and that is like that raw, like almost animalistic warrior mentality sort of thing?
I would call it calculated aggression. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to be violent, but it's all going to be calculated and smart.
Brilliant. And obviously this April 22nd is another massive fight night as well. It's a heavyweight main event, Pavlovich versus Blaydes. We've got a co-main event of, I think, Song Yadong and Ricky Simone. We've also got Jared Gordon back in action against Bobby Green. After Jared's last fight with Paddy, the controversy there. I was just curious, how do you think Jared's going to approach this fight? Do you think he's going to do anything different?
Yeah, he's my teammate, you know what I mean? So I've been actually getting some work in with him as well. And I don't want to say too much, but yeah, he's gonna be mixing it up a little pretty well. And I think he's definitely been training hard. And I don't know about different, he's gonna stick to the game plan that he likes to do, but I feel like he's gonna want to, mix in his wrestling a little bit more. But we'll see what happens. I like that matchup. I think it's a great fight. I know Bobby pretty well too. You know what I mean? Back when I was living in California, so I think that's another fan favorite fight. I think we're both gonna be going for that fight of the night honors. You know what I'm saying?
And Jared he's always a really confident competitor. How did he take that loss? Because obviously a lot of people, including myself, thought he won that fight. How did he take it?
I'm sure it stung. Obviously, nobody likes to have an L on their record or, multiple L's. So every loss sucks, but I'm sure it felt good knowing that the world was on his side. We had a lot of high level fighters, got a lot of big guys in the game saying that he won. Patty, even though he got the W, at the end of the day, I'm sure he felt like he lost because everybody was against that win at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So even though he has the L on his record, I'm sure it was okay because the world was on his side. So it was, I think it was okay. I think he knows he won, and it just makes it more exciting for another fight with them too. You know what I mean? It's gonna bring a lot more attention to that fight as well. So it's just I think it's a good situation at the end of the day. It's gonna be able to promote another big fight versus them two, I think.
Are you a fan of Paddy's character? Because obviously, some people are, some people aren't. I'm just curious. Do you like Paddy from what you've seen?
I don't dislike him. I think anybody who brings a lot of attention to the sport is good for the sport. You know what I mean? Whether you like him or you hate him, you still got all eyes on him. It brings a lot more fans to this sport. So at the end of the day, we want to make this sport as big as it can get. You know what I mean? Most attention on the UFC. So I think it's good at the end of the day, no matter what happens.
Of course. And the week before your fight, just want a quick one as well. The main event of that one is Max Holloway versus Arnold Allen. Obviously, we cover a lot of British news on our site, and I'm just curious, Arnold Allen, obviously being a Brit, how do you see that main event going? Because that's a massive fight in that division.
Um, he's pretty hungry. I'm sure this is his biggest fight up to date. But Max Holloway, he was the GOAT for the long time. You know what I mean? So the question is, can Max still put the same effort as he's been doing? His whole career. You know what I mean? So, um, yeah, that's a tough one to call. But I can never count Max out. So I think at the end of the day, he's just gonna be the more experienced guy in there, and I think he'll take it. But you know what I mean? I'm not counting the Brit out, you know what I'm saying?
For sure. But back to you, obviously, I mentioned the streak you're on at the moment, but you've still got another fight on your contract after this one. Just how important is it to get a win this time around, though?
It's very important, you know what I mean? I'm pretty much on the cusp of fighting for my job. So I think it's very important. And I'm oh my bad. I'm definitely training like I'm fighting for my job right now. And I think it's very important. I think it's you know, I'm all in. That's all I can say is I'm all in, and I'm gonna leave nothing. I'm leaving. How do I say it? I'm putting it all in. I'm leaving nothing behind. I'm gonna. Yeah, it's a little stressful, but I try not to think about it too much. I'm just looking at the fight ahead of me, and I'm hoping to give my best performance to date.
For sure. I love that mindset as well. And, you've been in the UFC for a long time now. You had a minor break in between, but it's been nearly a decade since your first debut. You're still young. You're still putting on performances. How much longer do you reckon fans will be able to see you in there?
As long as my body will let me, as long as the money's decent, you know what I mean? I want to fight as long as I can because I'm not a, 9 to 5 type of guy. I definitely don't want to have a 9 to 5 type of job. So if I can keep fighting for good money, buy some real estate, and hopefully retire by the time I'm done fighting, that'd be ideal. But you never know these days. But I really do think it's cool that there's a lot more opportunities with the PFL, Bellator paying pretty decent as well. And I think I definitely made a name for myself to keep the pay pretty high. And who knows, you know what I mean? If bare knuckle fighting want to offer me something nice, maybe I'll make the trip down there. I'm not afraid of that. So at the end of the day, I just want to make some money, and if my body allows me to keep fighting, I want to keep fighting because I think it's a very it's a blessing to be able to do what I do. I get to go in the gym and just have fun every day in the gym, even though it's hard on the body. You have a fun time doing it. You know what I mean? So if I can just keep doing it, I'll do it. I'll do it as long as my body will let me. Just put it that way.
And, you've been in the UFC a long time, but are you saying that you would potentially be open to going cross promotion at some point, maybe trying out the PFL for a big money prize? Is it yeah?
Yeah. I don't mind if the UFC doesn't work out. Obviously, I want to stay there, but like I said, this is my 12th fight with the organization, so I did everything I wanted to do. So I don't mind trying to dip my toes in something else. You know what I mean? See what they have to offer. So I don't mind exploring all options. You know what I mean? The more I get to do, the more I get to check off at the end of the day. You know what I mean? So yeah, at the end of the day, I just want to fight and make some money doing it.
Love that. I've got one final question for you. For the fans, in 5 words or less, how does your fight on April 22nd go down?
I got one word: war. You know what I mean? We got a gladiator versus a Spartan. Two ancient warriors in modern day civilization.
I love that. Wow. The Spartan versus the Gladiator, Ricky Glenn against Christos Giagos, goes down April 22nd on UFC Fight Night. Christos, thank you so much for speaking to me. It's
Hey,
always
no
a pleasure to
worries.
speak to you guys. Really appreciate it. I hope the rest of the camp goes well, and I look forward to your fight.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And thanks for having me on.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.